Epictetus observed that much of our suffering arises from how we perceive situations, not from the situations themselves, something often overlooked. We often think that we react automatically to negative events or injustices as if we are programmed to feel in a certain way. However, if only the situation itself caused suffering regardless of how we interpret it, everyone would react the same way in similar situations. We know that's not true. Epictetus, born a slave and becoming one of the leading Stoic philosophers of his time, taught that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can choose how to respond. We have the ability to decide how to react in each situation we encounter in our lives. In the 20th century, cognitive psychology, developed by Aaron Beck and Albert Ellis, adopted this same idea from Epictetus. In this video, we will discuss specifically how we can change our interpretation and reaction to events that occur to us. This method, inspired by Stoicism, provides support for facing life's challenges and overcoming frustrations. It uses practical examples, innovative strategies, and mental tools to assist us in this process. Subscribe, like, and share this video with your family. Now, let's proceed with understanding the difference between having healthy aspirations and impossible, irrational expectations. For example, it's normal not to want to make mistakes at work or to try to avoid them, but it's not realistic to demand perfection from oneself and to see every error as a disaster and total failure. Similarly, it's natural not to want to be treated unfairly or with disdain, but considering that this should never happen or labeling someone who treats us poorly as entirely bad is not reasonable. It's also common not to like getting sick, but believing that we should never get sick or being unable to cope with the discomfort of a cold makes us extremely vulnerable. Having realistic and positive expectations about the people and circumstances around us helps us grow and stay motivated. It's important to discern between achievable goals and unrealistic expectations. Realistic goals encourage us to do more and improve, while excessive expectations leave us frustrated and disappointed because we expect something that doesn't align with reality. Expecting too much can negatively affect our emotional health and harm our relationships when we place all our expectations on something outside of our control. Instead of desiring perfection in ourselves and others, it's better to accept that mistakes are natural and be flexible, acknowledging that everyone has limitations and imperfections, which helps us adjust our expectations to something more realistic, promoting greater long-term happiness and improving our interactions with others. When we maintain irrational beliefs, we can react excessively or with excessively negative emotions, such as panicking or feeling depressed about making mistakes at work, or becoming very angry when treated differently. These expectations are based on a distorted view of the world, contrary to Stoic wisdom of accepting things as they are. In the Stoic view, progress occurs through reason. Some may think that being completely rational makes us cold, indifferent, or distant. However, being rational doesn't mean denying our emotions or passions, it means avoiding harmful or uncontrolled emotions while maintaining our capacity to love deeply and feel intensely. Being rational involves managing our emotions to be balanced and appropriate to the situations, reducing unnecessary suffering and improving our well-being. As we assess our development and progress as a society, we realize that we have evolved more technologically than in our understanding and management of emotions. Currently, it's easy to acquire a super-modern cell phone using a credit card, something accessible to almost everyone. However, we learn less about controlling anger, managing our expectations, and dealing with intense feelings and emotions that often overwhelm us. There are basically three common approaches to dealing with emotions: the use of tranquilizers, relaxation practices like breathing techniques, dance, and yoga, and positive thinking to induce calm, imagining peaceful scenarios, or cultivating relaxing thoughts. While tranquilizers and physical exercises can offer immediate relief, they generally focus more on the physical aspect and less on the beliefs or thought patterns that actually guide our emotions. They can help us escape momentarily but rarely provoke permanent changes, as they do not address the underlying negative thoughts, such as predicting disasters or being excessively self-critical. Seneca was one of the most influential figures of his time as a philosopher, politician, and playwright, arguing that philosophy has enormous power to help us face life's challenges. He taught that our way of thinking and perceiving the world through philosophy can strengthen our ability to deal with obstacles and unexpected events imposed by fate, promoting real and lasting improvement in our lives. Seneca suggested that we should refine our interpretation of experiences by profoundly modifying our beliefs and attitudes. For example, someone may like their job overall but not be satisfied with certain aspects, like an elementary school teacher who enjoys teaching and alphabetizing children but detests daily administrative tasks, such as writing in agendas and preparing reports. This person has two options: seeing themselves as a failure for having to perform unpleasant tasks at work, or adopting a more positive view, valuing the job as their source of livelihood at the moment, although they don't like all their responsibilities. Thus, they can better manage their time and consider other job opportunities or additional sources of income. This change in perspective not only reduces emotional stress but also promotes a more positive and active approach to life and work. When we change our interpretation of a situation, we free ourselves from predictable reaction patterns and gain the ability to choose how to respond. It all starts by changing how we interpret what happens to us. Another example is the case of a woman who divorced due to an abusive marriage, her husband's alcohol and drug problems, and his refusal to seek treatment. She deals with feelings of guilt and remorse, erroneously believing that she should have endured the abuse and helped her husband. However, it is crucial for her to realize that the decision not to seek help is his responsibility, not hers. Recognizing this helps reduce the sense of guilt and self-judgment, allowing her to replace feelings of despair with sadness and regret. Recognizing and changing irrational beliefs is essential to avoid unnecessary frustrations. Recognizing that our irrational beliefs can cause negative emotions and challenging them can free us from these mental prisons, allowing us to respond more healthily and constructively to life's challenges. All of us, as human beings, have the capacity to challenge and change our irrational beliefs for a more realistic and balanced view of life and the circumstances we face daily.